with Space Station, Scott, I think with all the mounting pressure of them being basically all former Overwatch League players and being with an incredibly stacked backroom staff as well, maybe they were a bit disappointed with their positioning last time. Well, I guess you could be disappointed even if you finished second, you know, you didn't win. Sure, there's some sort of disappointment there, but yeah, I'm shocked to see this team go down that early, but I don't expect to see that happen again.
Jules, I actually have a question about that. How do you think Funny Astro, as a young British boy, is going to feel about losing to SK in the Lucio 1v1 and then inherently not being the best Lucio 1v1 anymore?
Okay, I'm going to be honest. That guy needs to go meditate or something. Like, he has some of the best Lucio mechanics in the world, but SK, she kind of bopped it. Like, actual straight-up bop.
Not just kinda, like, she did bop him.
Yeah. I want to add on about SSG as well in a real sense. SSG went 11-0 in the Swiss stage, but more importantly about it, they played 9 of the 16 teams that made it to groups as well. So it wasn't like they had an easy path to 11-0. They are at top form right now, and they're looking to be the team to beat.
That's right. Well, Joss, as you just made your big point about SSG, they will be our first team to watch in the Group A winners match, and they're going up against Ex Oblivione. So let's talk about those two teams. While SSG, of course, did not make any roster moves during the break, EXO did, in fact, swap out and add a few pieces. Tank Chase left. Now he's with Ents. And Dan and Twals actually joined. They formerly played in Stage 1 with Quick Esports. However, it wasn't so clean, all that swapping and changing, was it, Custom?
Yeah, you know, let's address the elephant in the room with Ex Oblivione. Obviously tried to pick up some Korean players. You know, Mag specifically, with going into a Winston meta would have been a huge asset to Ex Oblivione. Unfortunately so, that could not happen. So they do have a player in Dan, which he's experienced. He's been in the Overwatch League. He might not be, you know, one of the best in the world at this pick, but he is a solid player. They have 12s as well if we go towards an off-tank meta. So they should be solid, but right now, they don't seem to be in the form that they were in the last stage when they made that upset against SSG, because so far they went to map 5 in their first match in this group stage, which isn't a good look, considering it should have been an easier match for them.
Yeah, I mean, most teams, quite frankly, and maybe this is the reason why we're playing those off-stream, lots of 3-0s in those opening matches in the group stages. So if yours wasn't the 3-0 that everyone else has been enjoying, you already look like you're having one foot out of the door. Now, well, they have opportunities to come back here. However, if we're looking at our viewer predictions down here, not a lot of faith being put into Ex Oblivione. Lots of people put their eggs into that SSG basket, but understandably so. I mean, SSG is just so star-studded, guys.
Yeah, you expect this to be a 3-0. Like, at least that's what a lot of Space Station people, and clearly the chat are feeling that way as well. Like, maybe Ex Oblivione, they level up during the main events? Like, I don't know. If it's a map 5 again, like, that would be sick for a storyline perspective, but SSG just want a 3-0. They just want a clean victory here, just continue moving on, just prove how dominant they can be with all those expectations kind of laid upon them during, like, the pre-season and the lead-up to the OWCS kind of starting, Scott. I mean, where do you think they stand now and amongst the competition?
Yeah, well, like, I feel like it's two trains passing in the night as SSG goes up the hill while EXO seems to be on a downwards trend. So definitely for SSG, if you're heading into this match, you're like, hey, we want to clear this 3-0. We want to continue to, you know, say to everybody else in the EMEA region, we are the team to beat. We are the strongest in the region. They have a good meta for themselves, and they should be able to run with this. You know, they're a roster that isn't happy with 4th in the region, right? They're playing for, you know, to be the best, to be at DreamHack. So especially with the point system, because they came 4th last stage, there's a world in which they need these points, or even just they need to finish rank 1 to get to DreamHack Dallas.
Yeah, obviously both teams have a fair amount of points already, but a guaranteed spot at DreamHack Dallas, it's on the line for both teams. The revenge match, Space Station Gaming versus Ex Oblivione. They did face off in Swiss, like you were saying, Scott. Space Station going 11-0 and beat Ex Oblivione. Can they do it again, or is it because it's a stream game? I don't know, bro. I don't know. Maybe Ex Oblivione have got some secret up their sleeves. Of course, both of them won their game yesterday as well, hence the scoreline already on your screen right now. But Samoa is going to be the first map.
Yeah, it can be hard to gauge everything off of the Swiss stage, right? Because these teams are great. They know they're going to qualify. It's more for the seeding more than anything. So, you never know what can happen. But now teams have another week to practice. The meta does seem a little up in the air. And now we get to see, what these teams are made of, because every match matters. You really want to win this one, get out of groups as quickly as you can. And both teams actually rolling out on something different. Spacestation over to the Orisa with Blandon on the Baptiste. A good look for them. But Ex Oblivione on the Sigma Symmetra?
Yeah, okay. I mean, you can play the little high grounds, I suppose, right? If you just kind of TP up and down, but Spacestation, their ability to hold the point with the Orisa, that's second to none. Nice little flank here from Sparker and the rest of the gang. Hardy trying to get some sort of angles on Ex Oblivione. Ex Oblivione have the movement advantage, I suppose, with the Symmetra, but they've just been more than happy and content with just burning down Hardy in the front line for the time being. There's the TP. It's a TP back to the back line. As the first cap goes over to Ex Oblivione, Space Station now trying to make their move.
You can see Space Station, they're just respecting the amount of damage that comes out with this Cassidy and the Symmetra. They don't have the Tracer to put on the pressure, but now SSG, they're stepping up and they're taking the Cloud.
Boop. Astro just booping Cloud and Dawn into the front line. Hardy just spear spins them away from the heel with the lamp. Wasn't quick enough from Kanale. Maybe Space Station regaining control at that point. 26%, a little bit there for Ex Oblivione.
Yeah, just great recognition by Space Station. They're respecting the teleport out from Cloud. They're understanding that they don't need to force this fight, and then they essentially just wait and then run over Ex Oblivione, because that's what you need. You need to force out the Sigma resources before you can engage, because if you just run into him, he's never going to die, and you're going to potentially fall over as you try this. So let's see how Ex Oblivione now with the Symmetra are going to utilize the teleporter.
Walls are about 70% as well. Hardy back enough. Just afraid of that tier 3 beam. Trying to find some right clicks here, but you can see the flag coming in from Psycho. What a pulse too. That window, pulse bomb thrown in. Easy fight win for Space Station. A lot of ults to spare as well. Didn't even really need the window, to be honest with you, but he'll take it. And Kanale,
oh no.
Little bit of a stagger. No. Keep staggering, making sure Crispy can't get in there either. I mean, that's brutal. Kanale ends up going down. That's an extra 20 plus percent you've got to imagine. And the air Cloud on the back end of it in Shockwave. All right, just touch the spawn door. We get it, Space Station. You want some sweet revenge?
They're looking really good, and you can understand why SSG right now is so good at this composition. It's essentially the London Spitfire, but they're just playing an Orisa instead of a Reinhardt.
It actually is.
Yeah, so they can just play around their strengths, and the thing that they're so strong at this composition is just the tempo, and you can see so far, Ex Oblivione haven't been able to deal with it.
Oh, what? Okay. The Miracle Orb just flying through the team. Terror Surge comes in, same with the Sound Barrier from Kanale. Hits 5. Space Station, not sure they want to invest anything here. Especially knowing Ex Oblivione used their beat to try and get into this fight and make sure it was a guaranteed win. Surely Psycho doesn't kill anybody here. Cassidy going pretty low. Shockwave saved by his healers. And what a good pick there from Cloud. That right click just weaving its way through Space Station's front line and hitting a land and square in the chest.
Yeah, just a mistake that happens. Whoa.
Oh, let's go,
baby. Into existence. Okay. Hardy goes over to the Reinhardt of all things. I wonder what he thinks, why he thinks the Reinhardt is a better matchup against, this Ex Oblivione comp. Maybe he can just go faster, but I like that, Hardy used his Terror Surge at the end there, force out the Sound Barrier of Crispy. That's a great trade, and now he can go over to this Reinhardt. So let's see how he's going to do this one. Maybe he's just going to pin to the back line. Protect the high noon.
Oh my god, that pulse is huge! The wall too! It wasn't quite enough to save Dawn from the high noon. That was an unbelievable pulse bomb there from Psycho. Everybody received damage. That lamp from Kanale was good to save people, but that was just about it. The damage was done, and then Astro with a perfect boop. A window and a wall from Ex Oblivione, not finding anything at all, really. Cloud switching over to the Tracer now, as Space Station Gaming are rounding to that 99%. Overtime is here as Ex Oblivione need to touch.
Yeah, Dawn has the gravitic flux, but he's getting so low.
So low, he's 1 HP, Scott. Hands, use, there's the flux, hits Hardy, but Hardy is very safe right now. Could back up to Landon, there's the lamp. Used a bit later, and now, with all that healing, got a free window. Cloud ends up going down to the 1v1 to Psycho, and now they've got to contend with this window. Ex Oblivione down a DPS and down a lot of health as well. Dawn super low, same with Kanale. He's getting chased out, and with Landon just kind of sitting here with Sparker. What can you really do to kill him? I mean, Dawn overextends to try and secure the kill, and he does so successfully, but it is Space Station Gaming claiming that first round.
Ex Oblivione, they were able to get a fair fight at the end there, but they didn't get enough value from the high noon and the gravitic flux, almost forcing it just due to the sheer amount of damage coming out from SSG, so they don't find any value in from that moment. Space Station Gaming is just able to come back with ultimates of their own, and that's a pretty convincing first round over to SSG, even with Hardy on the Reinhardt.
I mean, it was that miracle right-click from Cloud that really set them up for that big fight win of theirs, and then, well, I think Space Station Gaming kind of out-macroing them in a way. I mean, the polls, with the high noon, you're against a window and a wall, you expect the team that used the giant shield to win, right? But Space Station Gaming just beating them there.
And I think a lot of credit needs to go to Psycho. Had a great first round. Hits 2 very impactful pulse bombs that essentially won them team fights. So if he can keep up that level of performance, that's huge for SSG, because Psycho was one of the players that we looked at when they put this roster together of like, can he perform at the highest level? And so far in this match, he has.
Finally. Torbjorn.
Oh my God. Right. Why does every time I cast with you, I have to listen to you just gas up Torbjorn the whole time as he accomplishes absolutely nothing?
Look at him off angle right now, Scott. Look at him off angle. Well, he's actually not really off angling. He's just kind of with the team, but the turret was off. Okay, the turret's dead.
Okay, turret's dead. Now what?
Turret's dead. You fire the little spaghettis across the map and hopefully kill people. Unfortunately, Space Station capped, Scott, so that's unlucky for the Torb. I think the rest of the team needs to pick it up a little bit.
Yeah, not the Torbjorn, just the rest of the team. Come on,
just
guys.
The rest of the team. Look at the Torb. Look at him go. Dude, look at him. The off angle's crazy.
Boy, he's so low. He needs so much assistance right now. It's crazy. And they're so split. Oh, they do get a pick on the lander, though. Big pick by Shockwave.
Oh, okay. It's all good. Distraction technique as Landon goes down. That's a good trade for the Torbjorn. Sound barrier coming in for Space Station. Doesn't hit Hardy, but here's the front line. I mean, Psycho could just play it without fear. Jumping into the back line. A D-Mech from Sparker, and then Psycho finishing off the Baby Diva. There's a couple extra kills there as well. Nice tracking from Psycho. That ult save too. I like that sound barrier usage from Space Station. Losing Landon early there, just knowing they had to win the fight fast.
I think the big thing that Ex Oblivione is struggling with is they're not playing Tracer. And because they don't have that threat on the outside, Psycho's just able to play on the flank, do a lot of damage. I don't know how Dawn falls this early in the right, but they need to get out of there. That's more percentage off the clock. We're going to a final fight before, we've even really had 2. And that's a Lantern thing. Canal goes over to the Ana. Like, yeah, Ex Oblivione, they seem a little lost right now. And Space Station, they're just punishing them for every single mistake that they're making.
And they can punish them even more now as well, because they can play super far off if they want to, just catch them off with the Flux, and then force Ex Oblivione into a situation where they need to touch. Or they can play it slow, wait for 99. I think that's exactly what they're going to do. Molten Core available for Cloud. I mean, where's it going to go? Not sure. Torb dodging out of that one, though. Now Flux does land, however Crispy lands a sound barrier. Pulse bomb from Psycho going a little wide too. Here's the window from Sparker hiding behind this corner. And now good luck approaching the enemy team. Okay, Cloud's dead. Molten Core not finding much effectiveness at all, Scott. I'm going to be honest with you, maybe the Torb wasn't working. It is 99%, it's 100. Space Station Gaming, take map 1.
And yeah, that Psycho pulse bomb was actually incredibly impactful in that round. Like you said, it went wide, but he actually did a ton of damage to the Torb and the Cassidy, forced out the lamp. Yeah. Psycho hitting another big pulse bomb, and right now SSG, they look very comfortable playing their own style. They played multiple tanks, but they have a great understanding of how they want to play around it.
Yeah, they look super clean. This is what you kind of expect too, especially a team that went lossless in the Swiss stage. Like, you're feeling pretty good. They went 2-0 versus EXO in the Swiss stage 2. So just kind of a repeat, just kind of brush your hands off. We're kind of done with this one. We're going to Hybrid as our next map, Scott. Midtown. Anything we're going to see here, you reckon, from Space Station, or is it just going to be the same old thing? Because Hardy, I will say, especially after like the Overwatch League and after London Spitfire, which this roster pretty much is, just under a brand new name. I mean, you're looking at a team that only played the Rhine Rush because that's just what they were good at, and it worked against a lot of teams because teams couldn't really practice against it because no one played the Rhine Rush, especially with like the Sim, the May, and everything else, like they could, and that's not really the case anymore. Hardy is. It feels like a brand new man, evolved under the Space Station banner, right? Maybe the Stage 3 Hardy is like come into full effect, no rare candy needed. Like, he can play pretty much everything to an extremely high level now. The Sigma, he was a ball player originally, actually, funnily enough, but his Ram's also really solid. Sigma's looking really clean. Like, there's nothing really that Hardy can't play right now, and in this meta that's so in flux, you need that from your tank player.
And one of the nice things about OWCS is we've been able to see these teams scrim a little bit, right? And we've seen from just the scrims that SSG has been showing and the matches that you've been able to see them play against, you know, even Toronto Defiant, they can play the dive at a very effective point as well. So it's not like they are just this rush one-trick team like we knew them in the past as London Spitfire. They're a team that actually has a lot of versatility, a lot of depth. So it doesn't feel like you can just sort of cheese them by trying to go an anti-rush composition. And that kind of seems like what we're seeing from Ex Oblivione. They're trying to do something that will make SSG uncomfortable, but so far it has not worked.
It's like, yeah, exactly. It's not worked at all. Like they're feeling pretty confident right now and comfortable, just doing their own thing. And it's funny too because you can always just go back. We saw it there, right? You can always just go back to the Rhine if they really want to. They know they got one of the best Rhine players. I'd say top 2 Rhine player, him and Cloudy, right, in EU. Yeah. You're like, okay, if you want to play something that we can just run over with the Rhine. We played this for a long time. Like, we can just swap to that, not a problem. We can just run you over. Like, our DPS can hang. Like, it's all good. Like, Space Station, they look really, really clean. Like, EXO, what do you think they really need to play? Okay, the Tor probably wasn't a good idea. Okay, I'm going to be honest.
Wait, someone clip that. George just said the Tor wasn't a good idea. This is
they lost. They lost. Okay, I don't think Tor's going to be the best on Midtown either. It's not great. Like, do you think they need to swap up anything here? Like, what comp do you expect EXO to run?
Well, as we head over to Midtown, this is a map that you really want to play something that has a little bit of sustainability. I can see them playing the Sigma or the Orisa. It's pretty difficult to play Winston on Midtown unless you play in the Korean region. So I don't expect either of these teams to change things up too much. As I said in Samoa, the thing that's surprising me is they weren't playing the Tracer. There's 2 issues if you don't play the Tracer. First of all, you don't have the flanker of your own. You don't have someone applying pressure, but you also don't have someone keeping the opposition Tracer in check. Psycho's just running circles around them. They're trying to play this high damage output comp, with the Torbjorn and the Cassidy, but they're all just stuck in a choke and just getting surrounded by Space Station who can just go whenever they want. So I want to see something, I guess, a little bit better with Ex Oblivione that is able to deal with some of the threats of Space Station rather than just trying to throw everything at the wall like a Torbjorn.
Yeah, let's have a look what they're doing on defense then, because they're running Brig, which is quite interesting. Although on these kind of maps where you can just kind of hold super far back and hold in this big choke point where Canale is currently, I don't think I mind the Brig at all. Plus it checks Psycho a little bit. Brig's not the kind of Tracer eraser that she used to be, but still, the Tracer still has to kind of deal with the shield, the whip shot, and then also the packs that can fly in and help Canale. So I quite like it. We'll see what Space Station want to run.
Yeah, I really like the Brig here. It's not just the packs going on Canale as well, it's the packs going over to Cloud. That gives Cloud the advantage in the Tracer duel because now they have a lot more health than the support the Psych is going to get. But Ex Oblivione are going to walk out of spawn. They're going to see... Space Station, sorry. We're a little mixed up here. Oh, dude, every time Hardy sees the Sigma, he's like, it's Ryan in time. Just makes the insta-swap, and they're going to go... Are they going to try and run through the train here? It's usually a bait, but I can see it working against this composition.
Yeah, look at that. Just the sheer presence. Just Giga Chad.
He's
just donk walking. I mean, it doesn't matter. They've already used Lamb. Look how healthy Dan is. He's got no HP. That's how healthy he is. Needs some emergency care ASAP. I really like that. It feels like a bait normally, right? When you walk through the train, you're like, there's no shot they actually push through here. But if you got a speed and Space Station don't, you can just run over them. Is Crispy going to swap to Lucio? Okay, he does. Yeah. So there you go. Dan now on the Ram. Shockwave even switching over to the Ash here. You got to run that speed boost because Hardy's just going to be on top of you instantly. And in fact, Hardy's just going to switch. They just take first point and swap the Ram. Okay, mirror now, almost.
Yeah, I think Hardy is smart enough to know that playing the Reinhardt into the Ramatra matchup is just very difficult. I think the Reinhardt is more built to deal with the Sigma. You can just play aggressive into it, and as you just saw in that first point. But it seems like Hardy's like, hey, you want to take a Ramatra matchup? Hey, that's fine with us. That's what we want to do.
Of course, it is EXO on the left-hand side area of the screen, and Space Station on the right. We'll get that fixed in a moment. Window for Landon. Did a lot of damage fairly early on in that fight. Even got a few final blows, too. Pretty early window.
Good at that. It's actually a fun little thing. We have like a little sheet and they fill out information for us. Landon put himself down as the best Baptiste in the world. And honestly, part of me believes it at certain times. He is so good at this hero, the amount of healing and damage that he puts out.
Very clean, yeah. Force him onto high ground. Oh, Canal drops the window. And just like that, Space Station, Houdini them, just disappear. Just under the car wash now. Shockwave's earned a lot of ult charge in a short amount of time. It's about 15% when he swapped. Already nearing that bob. Here comes the wrap from Space Station. Walking high ground. Sound barrier comes in very, very early. Pulse bomb. Oh, Psycho. Double kill with a pulse. That'll do. 4 minutes to go now for Space Station Gaming. As they push on forward, Ex Oblivione, just no say at all. Like, what do you do against this, Scott? Like, it's so rough. The rotations from Space Station, they're just so clean.
They're so clever. They use the window to give themselves space, and then as soon as the window comes back in response from Canale, they then disengage from that one, route around, go under them, flank them, and now they're spawn holding them once again. They have to use a couple of ultimates, but they're getting the picks. Oh, couple back though.
Oh, saying that though. The sixth man, the Bob, comes up the kill onto Sparker. Although the spawn points are pretty close here for Space Station. So they should be fine to win here. That was the saddest moment too. We called it live in 4K there, Scott, was when you coach gun in a vortex or use any movement ability and you jump like 1 centimeter and you're like, oh, okay, I guess I won't then.
It's just like, huh?
Yeah, it feels like you got like thousands of pounds like strapped to you. It was really funny.
Shockwave over the window. Yeah,
I like this.
Here's the thing, I like it because you look at how long this sightline is. It's going to be so difficult for SSG to deal with it, but the problem with the Widowmaker in these matchups is there's so much damage coming out from the Cassidy. If Shockwave isn't finding picks, they're going to just slowly bleed out. So Ex Oblivione needs to do a good job of playing around these sightlines and not getting too aggressive so the Shockwave can help.
Pretty scared of Cloud right now, is holding this high ground. Narrowly killing Sparker there as well. You heard that Widowmaker shot whistle past his head. Now they're pushing in for Space Station. Ex Oblivione with the ult advantage. They've got that Ramantra Annihilation to use if they really want it. Here comes the flank. And now Shockwave has a lot less space to really deal with. Pulse bomb from Psycho goes a little bit wide. Sound barrier for Ex Oblivione now as Sparker used that high noon. Annihilation not doing all too much. There you go. Okay, take it back. Landon ends up going down just on the back of things after utilizing the lamp to try and stay alive. Still Space Station willing to fight this with Darn low HP. Really low, in fact. Needs some desperate heals. Canal comes in nick of time. Just dealing with Sparker on the sidelines first, making sure no funny business can occur. And Space Station, they're going to get hold on this push, but they've got a fair amount of meterage, Scott.
Yeah, Don, the new addition to Ex Oblivione, doing a phenomenal job of just like balancing his health pool. You know, you said that Annihilation almost got no value, but does get that pick onto land and manages to live to tell the tale as well. And now, if Shockwave can keep getting picks, that's just taking more and more time off of the clock.
God, he was a menace too. I think he's rocking the Philadelphia Fusion skin. Was on Philadelphia Fusion quite a long time ago, and was on Vancouver for a little while too. A very, very strong hit scan player. Always has been. A very fearsome Widowmaker, and now with the sights too is going to be even more fearsome. We'll see how Space Station want to deal with this one. They can use the sound barrier and the Annihilation. Looks like Astro just wants to go in, just get up close and personal. There's the beat. Oh yeah, deal with us now, huh? That's a quad headshot required from Shockwave. Although I say that through the window, that's a lot of damage. Double kill from Shockwave. Landing headshot after headshot. 2.5 minutes to go now for Space Station. Shockwave takes over the game.
You can see the idea, Space Station, they know they need to close that distance, but that was a very early sound barrier from Funny Astro. That they weren't able to take as much space, and the window from Canale with Shockwave behind it was just too much for them to deal with. Spark is actually going to respect the Widowmaker here, move over to the Genji so that him and the rest of the team can play faster. They need to get in the face of Shockwave.
Trying to take that high ground control away from Cloud. Don't want him descending on anybody using that pulse bomb. So got to be careful though. Shockwave in the distance. Sparker can kind of spot that out. Doesn't want to use deflect too early, so playing around the corner.
Wow.
Don't know how that happened. Yeah, Cloud goes down. Pulse bomb still in hand. Here comes the Annihilation. Supports in the backline under a momentum out of pressure now. You can see Hardy even body blocking Dan, who's also pulled his own Annihilation, but the support nowhere to be found. Shockwave needs to come up with something large here as the frontliners are just falling.
They have sound barrier.
They only need to touch. Sound barrier comes in, hits 4. Here's the aggressive peak from Shockwave. Where's the pulse? There it is. Psycho just wrapping around Shockwave. 6 the pulse, but Canale's actually the hero for Ex Oblivione. Coming back with 2 kills. 1 minute and 20 seconds to go for Space Station. They got no support, Scott, as Dan swaps over to the Orisa to be a little bit more survival, and they're even kind of staggering Hardy. I don't see that all too often, staggering the Ram. 1 minute to go. Ex Oblivione, the defense is looking stellar.
Yeah, the crispy sound barrier was right there in the nick of time, gives them the opportunity to touch, and now Hardy goes over to the Winston. They're going to a full dive composition, recognizing they need to play fast, but with only a minute remaining in the map, I don't know how many ultimates SSG is going to get up. They have to get to this Bunny Astro sound barrier and Spark a Blade if they're going to break this, because Kanail has a window, and you can see how difficult it has been for them to get into that backline so far and punish the supports.
I mean, the best thing they can do is like jump past the window, right? And yeah, big swap up as well for Shockwave. 2 ultimates in the bank for Ex Oblivione for this final fight. Here's the dive in. Hardy booped away instantly. Bubble not doing all too much as Sparker just deflecting some of that damage through the window. I mean, Cloud used the Pulse Bomb too, not finding anything, but Space Station Gaming and Sparker need to be able to stay alive. 1% away from the Blade, and now they're not going to be able to use the ultimate. Space Station Gaming just bleeding out of the final hurdle. Ex Oblivione holding firm. A 3+ minute time bank in the bank for Space Station Gaming, and they're not going to even be able to complete. Ex Oblivione only let Space Station get 2 points. What a defense!
That's the EXO team we saw in the last stage. That's the team that we expect. They're just doing such a great job of recognizing their win condition, playing to their own strengths, right? They just were so aware of how difficult it was going to be for Space Station Gaming to close into their backline. They even used the window, like, in their spawn doors right there to just deal with the pressure coming out from Sparker on the Genji, and that's what ultimately gets Sparker punished. So just playing a phenomenal round. I was getting a little worried after those first 2 rounds. I won't lie, Jaws, thinking this might be a quick 3-0, but they're able to stabilize. Now it comes down to what can they do on their attack.
Looking good so far. Yeah, let's have a look at what they want to pick up here, because Space Station don't really have that opportunity to swap like instantly. So it looks like they're just running the safe bet. I think this is pretty safe, actually. Running the Ram, not too much of a shock. I mean, you don't really want to run the Rhine because you can just get counter-comped pretty quickly. Yeah. So I think Ram is like kind of the best of both worlds in that regard. Can play a little bit range, obviously, with his little shield, his staff. And then if they want to go crazy, go super far into the backline, they can with the that sort of skateboard in there. With
parkour.
Dude, I love when you can slide off things like that. You can there's a spot on the train on the top left that you can kind of hold on to.
Yeah.
As like a Genji and stuff, which is quite cool. It's not super useful, I'm going to be honest, but yeah, I kind of like those little spots.
I do want to speak on the Ramatra as well, because it's kind of interesting. Like, no other region in the world right now is playing as much Ramatra as we're seeing in EMEA. They really like playing around this pick. Obviously, it's a brawl hero, and anytime there is a brawl hero, Europe is like, yo, we have to play this hero almost all the time. So maybe that's it, just comfort for them. But Ex Oblivione coming on the Symmetra, TP's into this mega health room so they can have a defensive setup. Now Space Station are going to have to react. They need to choke them out, because if Ex Oblivione get any space here with their backline safe in this mega room, it's going to be very difficult to deal with. Oh, another TP to the other side again.
Another CP, and just trying to clear them off the high ground, just force them and just come out of them. Oh my god! Okay, well, that's a reset. That's an unbelievable angle to get a double dink there as Cassie. Definitely one of the more satisfying kills to get to as Cass.
I have to question whether or not that second TP was necessary. Like, obviously you want to get out of that room at some point, but it almost felt like they hadn't gotten the full value out of being able to sort of maybe juggle the point, force Space Station Gaming out of position. They TP to the high ground. Yes, I guess you can't anticipate Sparker just two-tapping your Cassidy, but it feels like they're maybe overthinking it a little bit instead of really reacting to what Space Station were doing.
There's a TP.
Bait TP.
A little bit of a bait though, yeah. Now Cloud can just charge up off of this shield, and now you can go to town. Oh, Astro with a boop kill through the window of all things. But yeah, Shockwave with the return. Nice angle for the window too. Look at that. Not much you can do if you're Space Station. They were 10% off the window of their own. Don't really need to stagger Spark here, so they won't. That's Ex Oblivione taking first point.
Yeah, Cassidy's both having huge impact in the 2 team fights that we've had, and you know, we talked about Sparker. He is a very, in my opinion, streaky player. Like, sometimes I'll watch him, I'll be like, this guy is like one of the best skates in the world, and sometimes he just goes missing. So it's cool to see him coming alive, playing the Widowmaker, playing the Cassidy, because Ex Oblivione need those types of picks if they're going to be able to go toe-to-toe with SSG. And now, Ultimate's coming up. Hardy wants to hold it incredibly close with the Annihilation.
You've got to really tied around these pillars, which is really nice. And Hardy around the payload now as well, and that door's going to close in just a moment, and that's when Hardy really wants to go. I say in just a moment, because they're contesting it, the doors are still open. They need to wait for Ex Oblivione here to move it just an inch forward. There you go. And Cloud, did Cloud die on the other side of that little wall there? Just like, one final bullet from Landon? Oh my god, that's so annoying.
Yeah, and that's a great window from Landon, recognizing they're losing control at that point. Hardy's taking too much damage, just flips the tempo, and Ex Oblivione just weren't there to be able to react. But now, tons of ultimates coming out. If they're going to play the Symmetra, they need to use these teleporters, though. Yeah, exactly like I said. Flip the map, give yourself an advantage, so force SSG to react. And now, High Noon's good, but it doesn't look like they're going to find anyone.
They can't really push the payload forward either because Hardy's hiding behind it with a shield, so that High Noon isn't going to result in a kill, at least not for now. Someone's got to deal with Shockwave though, and it might be up to Hardy to do that. Sound barrier coming in, a late one from Astro, doesn't hit Sparker. Could it affect anything? Hardy is still pretty low as Sparker just runs through the team. That later Annihilation, latest sound barrier there from Space Station just ended up working out. And this is a horrible place to be held as well, Scott.
Especially because the ult cycling really starts now. Ex Oblivione had to use so many ultimates to get into that fight. So SSG were just able to react with their own ultimates, and now Landon's back up to another window. We saw how effective they were at holding the push last time with that ultimate. So Ex Oblivione going to try something different. They're moving up into this window. They have the Symmetra ultimate to maybe give them a little bit of space.
Yeah, the photon barrier can be deployed.
Thinking about it.
Bit scared to at the moment. Darn going super low. Another really early window here from Landon.
They have the card.
Almost caught Darn. They do end up stealing the payload, and there comes the wall. Doesn't separate off like the entire team. It just kind of splits everybody. Lamb comes in. It's enough for a kill onto Landon here as they continue to move that point. Spark comes up with a kill, but it won't really matter. And this is a lot of free real estate right now for Ex Oblivione, Scott. They've not killed everybody, and Space Station have lost control of the payload completely.
They don't need to kill everybody. They're more than happy to be like, hey, if you guys want to eventually try and make the run, and now they're going to try and punish them as they run across. Down gets pulse bomb, but that doesn't do anything to a Ramatra. These are late staggers, the cart's moving, and all of a sudden the value that you get from holding close for Space Station Gaming is lost because the cart progressed so far. Now Ex Oblivione needs to win one more fight, and their ultimates are coming back up to capture the second point.
Yeah, they don't need to deal with that, like, dodgy high ground that you have to take, and yeah, that's really rough. And now it's one fight, like you said, giant Panasonic windscreen right now. That's an 8K, making sure Shockwave can set up for some kills. High Noon available. There's the Annihilation, and now Hardy is going to have to require some support. Lamp already comes in, but nope, there is the cap. 3 minutes to go for Ex Oblivione. Can Space Station Gaming kind of repeat the same success? Oh, Sparker still comes up with a kill. Shouldn't matter. But can they continue this, like, hold on this third point? Annihilation and sound barrier for Space Station going into this next one.
Yeah, I talked about how much I wanted to see them play a Tracer, but the Symmetra and how they're playing on this Midtown attack so far is dramatically better, and I really like they're kind of controlling the flanks by just teleporting their whole team to it. Shockwave lives with 1 health, but he's in such a good position that's so difficult for SSG to be able to deal with when a hit scan can teleport onto the high ground at any moment.
Speed up with a High Noon. Looking for people. Sound barrier comes in. Same with the Lamp. Shockwave in trouble. Lamp comes in for Ex Oblivione, and there's the beat. Noting Hardy was stepping a little bit too close to the sun there. They're beaming him out. Pulse bomb comes in from Psycho yet again. A very late engagement there, and it didn't look like Ex Oblivione wanted to kind of speed onto them, as Hardy was already like half HP, almost getting healed up to that armor point. Now uses the window, an extremely aggressive one as Psycho is still in the backline that whole time, just completely unchecked.
Yeah, Psycho bailing SSG out. They used a lot of ultimates but weren't able to find value, but once that pulse bomb stuck, you could see EXO were just spread out, panicked, and Canal even uses the window, a tool that I'm sure they wish they had back. But now you can see SSG, they don't want to give space to the rush composition of Ex Oblivione. They don't want to allow them to just set up. TP goes onto the high ground so they can hold it, but you can see Space Station Gaming, they're more than happy to just flip the map.
As soon as that teleporter comes in as well, Scott, you have to all TP at the same time. You saw what Space Station were trying to do there. They tried to speed up and get Astro in a position where he can boot people out of the teleport.
They can't lose the card again.
They've kind of lost it, but they're still in a decent spot. You can kind of hold the corner. Here comes the High Noon, however. Photon barrier unleashed. Oh, Cloud dodges out of the way. Astro a millisecond away from helping Sparker secure some kills, and that Sparker on the wrong side of the wall couldn't get healed. However, they do end up trading. Both DPS dead though for Space Station Gaming as they burn down the clock even more. Annihilation for Dan, definitely doesn't want to use it here. They need to stack ultimates for this last fight, Scott. 45 seconds to go for Ex Oblivione to try and win this one.
There's going to be a lot of Qs to use in this final fight as well, Jack. It doesn't even need to go the whole fight. Yeah, the problem is how are they going to get in with it? Oh, okay. That's just, that's a lot right there. But there's going to be so many ultimates coming up. It's going to come down to how each team uses their ultimates. You don't want to be the team to go first because usually the team that plays reactive and is able to use their ultimates later will be able to win the fight. So both teams are going to be on this tightrope of when do we want to use ultimates? How do we get into this fight?
Yeah, you don't want to use the Annihilation for... Although, I guess the Annihilation is not too bad, especially if you're already, always ticking people, but the sound barrier is the big one. Don't want to use the sound barrier first, otherwise Astro, or either one of the Lucios can just kind of hold on and just wait it out. Oh, your health bar's gone? Okay, all good. Now we beat in and then we just win, because we got a better resource advantage. It's going to be a bloodbath. I mean, 45 seconds to go as well. There's not really a chance either for Ex Oblivione to get a touch at all. Like, maybe the Lucio, if they die really early, they get a touch again, but like the likelihood that this is going to be last fight is almost 100%. So,
Something I would like to see is I'd love to see Dan play hyper aggressive. Right now, I think at that pause frame, he was just chilling the cart. If he can get into an aggressive position, can play against that wall and make it really hard for SSG to walk out, that could be a huge asset. All of a sudden, it becomes really difficult for the defending team to be able to step up. So let's see if Dan makes that adaptation, when we get back into the game.
I'm just hearing Psycho actually DC'd, so hopefully we can get him back in the game in just a moment. Now, yeah, we'll talk about it in a minute, I guess, but there's a DC. I'm hoping he hasn't lost his ult charge there, depending on how the DC ended up going, but that does happen.
You will. It does happen.
You leave the game completely, you lose all ult charge. So I'm hoping he didn't I'm hoping his ghost is still in the server somehow, retaining some of that ult charge. But we are going to jump to a quick break, just making sure Psycho can get back in. Final fight up next. Don't go anywhere. It's Midtown. Ex Oblivione versus Space Station Gaming.
Let's make history! No way! Ha! This season's got my name written all over it. Tectonic Shock is ready to rock! Taking names from strata to stratosphere.
Only the good triumph. We will tear them down.
No mercy. I decide who receives my aid.
Good always has the last word.
Mace to the face. Evil can't hide from my sight. I can be nice.
Hard work is rewarded.
Heroes, this is your game, your team, and now this is your league. This is your community's future, and this is your prize pool. Win your matches, battle for your progression. Go far, go further, even as far as the Esports World Cup. It is your time to shine. Build your team, register your team, go the distance with your team. FACEIT League, powered by you.
Welcome back. Don't worry. Psycho's getting back in the game. Apparently, his whole internet DC'd, which sucks, happens to the best of us sometimes, unfortunately. But yeah, hopefully getting back into the game. We were speaking about it, and these situations do happen, obviously. And Scott, this happened to you as well, I believe. And when you DC, you do lose that ult charge, but Psycho being on Tracer is like not too bad. You'd obviously want the pulse bomb, but like Tracer's pretty quick to build one up, so I'm hoping here that it's not too much of an issue for the team, and we just kind of get back, things back to normal. But yeah, these things happen.
Yeah, let's just assume that you're playing with J3 and he's going to miss the pulse bomb anyway. That's what I have to deal with in my matches, so just assume that happens to Psycho.
It's not me dunking on him this time, okay?
I'm just being honest. I love you, Jay, but the pulse bombs just don't land sometimes. But yeah, Psycho, you can see, loses the pulse bomb. As I said, I want to see Dan get aggressive here. I want to see them choke out SSG.
All right, here
we go. Defensively instead.
Really early window, both windows being utilized. Nice angle from Canale here, can play this high ground, can duck behind cover if they really need to as well. Here comes the annihilation from Dan, ripped pretty early, and Funny Astro booping him away, and there's the sound barrier. Crispy just got his online, hits his as well. 5-man sound barrier, both at roughly the same time, but the focus fire into Hardy is just super sick right now for Ex Oblivione. Cloud ends up going down to the annihilation, but there you go, a long-range Deadeye from Shockwave takes down Landon. They still need to be able to touch those Scott, and it looks like regardless of the front line being alive and well, and regardless of Landon going down, it doesn't really matter. Psycho and Hardy just take it into their own hands. Space Station Gaming, after what was quite a frustrating pause for them, end up defending on that last point and taking the series to a match point.
Hardy being able to live with a sliver of health in that annihilation. That was the swing that they needed to be able to just live long enough. Even though Landon does fall to the high noon, the damage was done. All of a sudden, Ex Oblivione couldn't spend any more time in that fight, and they just weren't able to get the second map. But Silver Linings, that was a much closer map. They look a lot more competitive when they're playing these brawl versus brawl compositions.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. And you saw as well, I just want to point out, Cloud going down first. That's just a symptom of Cloud being so close to Hardy, obviously taking the ticking damage from Annihilation. And it's almost like gambling too. You're just hoping the beam can just finish off the Ram. Because if they kill the Ram there, Cloud probably gets healed up. It's a very different story, very much a gamble, but a gamble you have to take if you're in that situation, it being overtime. A 2-0 for Space Station right now, Scott. Almost a repeat from Swiss Stage, but like you said, a lot more competitive now from EXO going on to Midtown. We'll see if that can continue going into map number 3.
Yeah, honestly, that's what I think is exciting about EMEA. It feels like there's a lot of competition at the top end, and depending on the meta and at least the form as well of these teams, it could go back and forth. And EXO have been struggling for form ever since they lost Chase, their tank from last stage, and they haven't been able to find their footing. But feeling a lot better and playing around that Symmetra was a much better look.
Okay, I just freaked out there a second, but I think that Pulse Bomb, because it triggered something in my brain. I was like, that's a really weird timing for Pulse Bomb to come up in the kill feed. I believe Psycho stuck somebody and they die to the stick damage.
It does 5 damage, I think?
Yeah, it does like 5 damage, and then the Pulse Bomb exploded on the floor. In my head in that moment, I was like, that's a really weird, because normally when you see Pulse Bomb kills, right, it's just like, boom, there you go. Like, if it's a double, it comes up at the same time, but I'm pretty sure he killed someone with the stick damage there. And then the Pulse Bomb landed on the ground and then killed someone else, which is... that is a rarity that we see that happen. So that's pretty cool. Very, very small thing, but I thought that was very interesting.
And look at here as well. This is the moment where Hardy
there it is.
You can see Cloud. He's so close,
so low. Oh my god. And like I said, that's the gamble you have to take. And he was kind of juggling around the payload as well, hoping that obviously Canale can just kind of pump healing in. But with the DPS passive, man, you are just strained in those last few moments. And, whoa, Scott, I mean, map stats on your screen. This is how close it was. It was down to the wire. KDA is extremely similar. Damage dealt. Actually, it was EXO that was doing a lot more damage than Space Station there. Very, very scrappy, both these teams on map number 2. Hopefully, continue that into map number 3.
Yeah, and you know, honestly, it makes sense. You know, when you're playing the Symmetra, you're moving around the map, you're going to be doing more poke damage, but it really comes down to finding the picks and the execution once you've done that damage. So we move over to Esperanza, and now all of a sudden I'm curious to see what Ex Oblivione is going to play, because you really want to play a Tracer on this map. It's just so big. Or do they want to just stick with the Symmetra? It worked really well for them on Midtown, but with how open the map is and how free-flowing push is, just as a game mode, is the Symmetra going to work in the same way? I would say no, but so far they've been leaning on the Symmetra very heavily.
I mean, Space Station, like in their team historically, they've made Sim work on this map before. And that was with the Rheincom. Some of their best games that they've had in the Overwatch League were on Esperanza with the Sim TPs, because you can like teleport up to high ground, you can teleport across to the other high ground. There's lots of different ways, but it requires such a specific style of play that I don't think it will necessarily work against EXO here. So maybe EXO, they're also going to decide to go not with the Sim. I mean, what do you think would be the best kind of picks for DPS? Tracer seems like an obvious one, right? But we're seeing a lot less Sojourn too, mind you. A lot more of this Cassidy.
Yeah, people really like playing the Cassidy recently because it kind of is very good against the dive heroes. Like Tracer, if you hit a Tracer with a Hinder Grenade, it's just GG, good luck, you know, and it can also go the size of, you know, a planet and, you know, orbit around you as well. So that's frustrating to deal with, and that threat of the Cassidy can be difficult to deal with, but I think in other regions we're seeing a dramatically more Sojourn just for that one-shot capability. It keeps the Tracers in check, and honestly, it has such high swing. So if you have confidence in your Sojourn player, then you can just play it. But for the most part, SSG, they prefer to play around the Cassidy and just play as that Deathball unit and deal with the flankers.
Also really annoying for the Lucio player, the BAP as well. Like the Hinder does, it's like sneaky really OP, especially if you can kind of land it on
Sneaky
good targets.
OP.
Sneaky OP, yeah, hidden tech. Only the pros know about it. Ranked players hate them.
Use this in your ranked game to climb up SR.
Jaws and Scott's top 10 things you should use to play Overwatch really good. Watch the video, please like, subscribe.
Yes, the very common DPS players, me and you know, playing Cassidy.
I'm just, okay, Cassidy not so much. Yeah, you know, the winner in the top, kind of my specialty. What's your specialty DPS?
I'm more of a Hanzo player because I like to play the lottery when I play DPS and just hope. And then if I miss, I'm like, hey man, just not my day. You know, sometimes they just don't hit.
Look, sometimes I get 5 kills, sometimes I get 0 and die 14 times. Like, hey, can't be helped, man. Their movement's too clean, and they got Lucio, so the movement's even quicker. Yeah, I don't think we're seeing Hanzo, sadly. Right, map number 3 on your screens in just a moment. We are going to jump to a quick break. Apologies for this, but we're just making sure everybody's ready and to go in the lobby, and also give the teams a little bit of time just to have a break for themselves. So yeah, we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Esperanza up next. Everybody's raring and ready to go. Esperanto, map number 3, Space Station Gaming and Ex Oblivione. Ex Oblivione right now looking for a reverse sweep. We are jumping straight into the map. And it's SSG's map pick here. So, Space Station and Exo right now, currently, you know, Space Station, they beat him in Swiss Scott. You know, they beat him. It's whatever. It's another day. But Midtown was not really like we expected it, maybe, right? I mean, they almost ended up winning out against Space Station Gaming. Like, that was a very, very close final. Neither team able to cap that 3rd point, and Exo and Cloud, like, trying to make that big hero play against the Ram, just couldn't quite make it work. We'll see if Ex Oblivione can stand a little bit taller, maybe bump their chest a little bit. We'll see if Space Station Gaming do end up toppling here.
What's this gaggle of, you know, grouping up that they have in the corner? You're talking about strats. Okay, guys, here's what we're going to do. Yeah, they're in proximity chat. They're just chat. We're going to win. Everybody, hands in.
That would be crazy if we had proximity chat. It wouldn't work at all, I don't think, but it would be kind of funny.
So we are going to see a switch up here from Exo. They're going over to the Winston dive. This is very common on this map just because you want to be able to play the flanks, you want to be able to dive. But now, if you're landing, you're the target. You need to be careful about getting jumped on. You need to put as much pressure on Dan as you can and keep landing alive.
It's easier said than done sometimes, but I mean, you're just hanging around in this big death ball too, and with the Cassidy, it's harder for the Winston. You can just get blown up so quickly, regardless of like the bubble. That Hindenade is really the biggest tool. I mean, okay, I mean, you start, all right, okay, where's the dive now? It's not happening. Sparker with a 3-tap onto Crispy. Cloud just ended up going down though, and I think that might just be it. Yeah. And now Space Station can do what their comp loves to do, is just hold one position, hold this high ground, Scott.
Sparker's just so sick at hit scan. Honestly, every time I watch him play like any of these heroes, I think Cassidy is definitely one of his more comfort heroes, but how many times throughout this series have we just seen it's like, oh, Sparker killed someone, I guess that's the team fight over, and now all of a sudden, Exo, they've lost all map control, they're losing card presence, and they're the ones who have to step up into the defensive position of SSG, and now Landon can just heal back here, they don't have to do anything, and just wait for Sparker to find another pick.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, Sparker, find a pick now, please.
Sparker, go kill. Come on. Whenever you... Hurry it up.
It's like the proper equivalent.
Yeah.
EU equivalent there. Proper go kill. Sparker, go kill. All right, there's the small dive. Really early rush as well. Used to make Oblivione. Space Station Gaming well out of the range of that rush now. Garn going super low. Saw that Suzu fly in to save his bacon. Crispy also going super low, and you've got to be careful of Space Station swinging around these like wide corners, because as soon as Sparker kind of sets up, and you can see how much damage he's already done, already got a high noon. There's the window. There's no way Dan survives that. Yeah, that dive not working out too well for them, and even a overclock invested, Scott. This is really rough for Ex Oblivione, just not finding anything at all. Like, this is nightmare fuel right now for Ex Oblivione fans.
Yeah, they pop the overclock, but the rest of SSG just disengages and punishes Dan for just being a little bit too greedy with his dive, and just a very slow, methodical play here from SSG. They recognize, hey, we don't need to take quick fights. We have positioning, we have the setup, and that's the first checkpoint in the first 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, that's a lightning fast cap. Cloud forced to recall. Good boop from Astro there. Booping Cloud up, forcing him to use yet another blink. Pulse bomb available. It's going to have to go quite large. Annihilation. Oh, Primal Rage. And he's gone. That Primal Rage just used an escape tool. Nice little boop there from Astro, trying to help Sparker land a kill with a high nuke. Sound barrier, annihilation, everything used. Nice thing. A better roll. Never mind. Pulse bomb, nowhere to be seen anymore. And Dan ends up falling over. And Scott, they've stolen the bot, but I think Space Station Gaming might just steal the game here.
Yeah, you can see how much respect Dan has to put on the damage that Space Station Gaming has. He jumps in, gets low, and just pops Primal Rage to run away. Yes, he got a bunch of ultimates out, but it doesn't feel like he's able to find any value, and that's why Dan switched back over to the Ramatra, deciding to take the Ramatra on Ramatra duel because he can't get anything done as Winston.
And investing all those ultimates too there for a Space Station, you might think that, well, that's kind of an overcommittal, but you're getting it over 100 meters, and they have 0. Like, that is very much worth kind of over-investing to try and get the bot as far as possible, especially after you got the checkpoint. Because now you can just perma reset them. Like, oh, you used ult? Okay, we just reset. Oh, you used ult? Okay, we reset. And now we have ult, and now we win.
Yeah, that's 2 from 2 rushes that have since fallen by the wayside of just like, hey, SSG's like, oh, you're going to pop that? We're just going to disengage. They're now going to commit with the overclock sound barrier. They have to win this fight.
They got to. Sparker dead, carry down. Shockwave with a nice little angle. Still getting checked, though, by Landon, who's 1 HP. There's Cloud with the finishing move. Shockwave does end up falling over, and Space Station is still kind of holding on to this point, but shouldn't be much longer now before Oblivione are going to be able to take it. There you go. They take control, Scott, but Ex Oblivione, they need to deal with forward spawns, and Space Station Gaming, they'll be back in, I don't know, like 10 seconds or so.
Yeah, because they have the forward spawns as well, yeah. And that was 2 big ultimates, the overclock and the sound barrier. Those are big teamfight ultimates that you need to win on. So it was good that they closed that one out, but now Space Station Gaming is coming back with a wealth of ultimates that they have on their own. And you can see Ex Oblivione, they have to put so much respect on, you know, the sound barrier disadvantage that they have.
Speed boost, high noon, pulse bomb, hits the lamp, and Shockwave. I think that was a boop from Astro there in the kill feed. Oh, yes. This is a Space Station game, I think. Not the biggest stagger onto Canal there.
But getting Landon is actually kind of nice. Yeah. Let's see if I think Landon should still get the forward spawns. It'll be no, it didn't get the forward spawn as well, so they have to go all the way back to spawn. So that's actually a really big swing and kill from Canal, because all of a sudden Space Station, they're not going to be able to get meterage. You can see they're just like, they're off the bot at this point. They're just like, we need to wait for our Baptiste to get back before we can take this fight. So big individual play by Canal, potentially giving them some silver lining on that lost team fight, but it didn't cost Space Station really much at all. They only have to use the high noon, so Hardy can just use this annihilation.
Insane boop! Oh, good, even better boop there. They boop Darn off of the high ground, and then they sound barrier in. Astro, though, getting booped by Crispy, stopped that beat coming in a little bit sooner than they wanted, so that's a big reset from Ex Oblivione, although, oh man, Shockwave dead. This is looking so rough.
Yeah.
Pick after pick. I mean, I guess Space Station ended up using the sound barrier, and they get the kill onto Sparker as well. Like, okay, they're not in the worst shape right now, but they need to be able to win this fight. Trades here aren't that great for Ex Oblivione. Space Station Gaming, they got the forward spawn yet again, Scott, and they're 100 meters plus right now on this bot.
I'm going to just say it again, Canal getting a late pick on Landon is a big deal. Once again, Space Station has to get off of the bot because they don't have their healer. So big picks. And as you said, Jack, Space Station used 3 ultimates to get that team fight. So not a bad fight if you're Ex Oblivione, but they need to start stringing together some team fight wins right now. They are 100-meter deficit right now in this round. And yes, you can do some overtime pushes, but they need to at least start getting at least fighting on the opposite side of the map.
Right. So you need to get there is the big problem for them right now. 3 minutes to go too, so winning some team fights is the imperative. A lot of ultimates for Ex Oblivione, looking at a stack of 4. Forces the recall there of Psycho. Crispy healing up Shockwave. But now they have to contend with the window. If they do want to invest an ultimate here, they're going to have to get through Landon somehow. Oh, 19 HP, hit with a railgun. Does force him to recoil slightly, but now they can just window on the high ground. And Crispy a little bit scared. Oh, the Suzu to make sure he can guarantee get the sound barrier off. But Shockwave not really in a position to get any more kills, maybe. Sparker ends up going down behind a window, and Space Station Gaming willing to make this a scrappy fight. Just fight on point, try and find as many picks as possible. Canal ends up using the rush there, Scott, but ends up going down to the vortex of Hardy after already TPing away to the rest of his team. And Space Station Gaming, they still have ult, Scott. They are forcing Ex Oblivione to use everything they have to win this fight.
Yeah, that annihilation feels so bad if you're done. You really wanted to hold on to that one so that you can take it into the next fight, because as you said, that was so expensive. Shockwave dying late to Landon, of all people as well. So it's like, even when Exa was winning fights, it just doesn't feel good, right? Like, if they needed to string these fight wins together, they need those ultimates. So at least they fighting on the opposite side of the map. Shockwave should make it back. They should have the positioning, but they have no ults to their name.
High noon, pulse bomb, annihilation versus, yes, 0, Scott. Well, I mean, I guess Cloud maybe gets a pulse bomb here, but gonna have to go pretty large. Nice little move there onto Sparker. Yeah. getting off the high ground. Going to force the rest of Space Station Gaming to join him. Nice little headshot, 180. Hits the high noon. Now already has to cower in fear. Oh my, I'm surprised he didn't let go of that one quicker just to guarantee the kill onto the Tracer, but goes a little bit greedy there. Doesn't find anybody in the end. Bot has been moved a fair distance too, if you think about it. I mean, now Ex Oblivione are going to have to regain all of that space. Psycho in a little bit of trouble, no recall. And Ex Oblivione are just slowly getting corralled onto their high ground. 60 seconds to go, Scott. They are not looking good.
Shockwave with this rail and this overclock needs to be the hero they need to be able to deal with this. They've respected the window and disengaged a little bit, so now all of a sudden Shockwave coming back with this this overclock.
Oh,
there it goes.
Annihilation. Gotta help Dan! Gotta help Dan! Alright, Shockwave trying to do his best. Best offense is a good defense, and defensive tools you need. You need that sound barrier, you need the rush, you need something to deal with the Annihilation, because Hardy's Annihilation, I think that got to be near to the max duration there. He had that up. 20 seconds to go. They're down 72 meters, Scott. This is an upward hill battle if I ever seen one. Ex Oblivione, they got another chance to touch here, and they got beat.
Yeah, and SSG, they have the freedom to either fight or disengage. If they use another Canale ultimate and the rush a little too early on the Shockwave down, doesn't even matter.
5 seconds to go. Bot's still going. Sound barrier available from Astro. He's just waiting for Crispy to use his, and he doesn't even get the chance. Space Station Gaming with a clean Esperanza and a clean 3-0. A complete, a complete mirror of what happened in the Swiss stage too. They ended up beating Ex Oblivione a 2-0, and now it's the 3-0 in the group stage. Space Station Gaming advancing on forward, Scott. I mean, you're feeling so good if you're Space Station right now. You want to be able to prove it to everybody that you are in the upper echelons, and I think this is going to do it. Got their revenge too against Ex Oblivione.
Yeah, it really feels like SSG have leveled up since stage one. Obviously, maybe a chip on their shoulder, especially against Ex Oblivione, finishing 4th in the last stage. Want to come back stronger and really like send a message. It's like, hey, we're the best right now. You're going to have to deal and play our games.
I want to talk a bit about what we've seen from both of those teams, because I mean, SSG I keep on getting flashbacks to a London Spitfire. They're playing their style, they're making it work. However, it's not as out of the box this time around. I feel like this is a very EMEA look that they're showing us. Hardy giving us a lot of different looks, actually, just short of picking that Winston up. Alas, we are in EMEA, not in Korea, so it is what it is. What did you see from the opposition? Because I really felt like on the other side, EXO not nearly as comfortable on the compositions they were running.
Yeah, it felt like they really were trying different things, like things that no other team is trying, and that's usually a sign that you're not confident in taking the mirror or taking that matchup head-to-head. So you're trying to throw curveballs, and we saw that with the Symmetra on Midtown, and it worked to some degree, but eventually, you know, if you have to end up playing the mirror like they did on Esperanza, you're just going to fall short. So EXO making some good adjustments, but not enough to deal with SSG.
Yeah, it's definitely worth keeping in mind too. These additions to the roster were fairly recent, like April 5th. Dan and Twirls end up joining the team. Obviously, we didn't see Twirls here, but Dan, relatively new compared to Chase, who ended up leaving for Ents, of course. So maybe just getting to grips with the new team. I mean, you're facing a Space Station Gaming who've been together for a long time. At least the core of the team has been together longer than the OWCS has been around, right? So it's worth kind of keeping that in mind. And Ex Oblivione maybe need to, you know, gel together for another couple of weeks. But it also does just feel like the SSG we were promised last stage as well. Like, they are just hyper dominant and they can play their own thing. But like you said, Zoe, too, they're not afraid to just put Hardy on whatever, because he has become such a well-rounded tank player that he is someone to fear in OWCS.
My favorite thing about it is it's kind of like that Scooby-Doo meme where it's like, you know, SSG, and then he like pulls off the mask and it's just the London Spitfire below them, and they're like, oh no, it's just us, because they play very similar to the London Spitfire, and that synergy is really coming in clutch so far in this stage, because they're able to play their game, and if they play this game, almost no one is better than them at.
Yeah, we're seeing our player of the match here, Psycho. I mean, that Tracer was definitely a difference maker in the first 1 or 2 maps you guys did talk about. There is so much threat on the server with Psycho and that Tracer. Not seeing the Tracer on the other side really hurt them, especially on Samoa.
Yeah, it very much felt like that. And a lot of the time, and what me and Scott called out in this map specifically, was that Psycho was just kind of getting ignored. And it's not like, oh, we're just going to ignore the Tracer and hope we win, right? It's like, we actually can't deal with the Tracer right now, so we're hoping we can just win the fight. We're just praying that Psycho doesn't just delete everybody, and then he just kind of did. Like, you need a Tracer in this meta, and you just need a Tracer in general. Like, the hero is just insane, and will be for a long time. Like, just the mobility and the high skill ceiling is just something that just rewards like very, very high mechanical play, and Psycho is one of those players. And it's really nice to see him on the Tracer just getting ignored too, because there's one thing to get ignored and then, you know, you're doing your own thing as Tracer, but he's just putting in so much work, and you just can't let him run you aground, man. Like, you need the caster, you need something to deal with him, otherwise he's just going to take over the game. And it was just map after map after map. It was just Psycho highlight reels.
It really was. And now another man who honestly should be in every highlight reel, at least for the interviews he's given, will be joining us for a quick chat after their victory. Christopher is standing by and ready to bring some spice, hopefully. Christopher, love what you've done with your room, first of all. Yeah, looks great. Good luck. Now, let's chat a little bit about you and the team. We talked about the synergy that your team obviously has. You guys have played together for a long time. On the other side, very recent changes. Do you feel like that affected Ex Oblivione's performance today?
100%, yeah. I think they were probably lacking a Korean main tank and a Korean flex DPS. If there was a way to get those in, I think we would have.
You took the baits.
Thankfully,
thank you.
Yeah. Thankfully, we were able to pull it out because they were full Western, but my propaganda mission to stop them signing MAG has once again proved to be the reason for our team's success.
I love that for you.
God, the smartest coach in EU. He's in-game, he's out-of-game, and he's running a propaganda machine behind the scenes too. This is great.
With the rule book.
Yeah, exactly. There's been many of those in Overwatch League. I'm glad to see it's carrying on in OWCS. I did want to ask you, like, what has changed from this stage to the next? Because you do look well more like drilled, and you look just straight better, like across the board. Has anything like massively changed for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think we felt we were like one of the strongest teams last stage, but we had like real problems where I think one thing that we had to learn was obviously in Overwatch League, we were quite able to be the underdogs the whole time, right? Like we were kind of, and it was really easy mentally to play as the underdogs. Whereas obviously now that we're in EMEA, we're the big dogs, you know, and I think that it requires like a slightly different mindset, like a way to approach the games. Like we can't be relying to kind of play this like safe style where we just counter the enemy teams and we play this counter dive style. We kind of need to go in and like punch them in the face and like find the best way to prove that like on a pound for pound basis, I think we have like mechanically the best team in the region.
Yeah, absolutely. And I had a question to you about like the meta, because obviously, you know, the meme is that you guys love to play rush, but you know, we've seen from you guys in scrims and other situations, you can play the dive. Do you guys play a lot more of the rush because that is the comfort, or do you think it's just actually a better composition right now?
I think it's really map dependent. Like we have a lot of maps where we play dive, like we haven't given up on it. I think the way that EXO clearly wanted to draft was away from the dive, again because he didn't have a Korean main tank, so it's probably impossible to win on dive. So
rough out there.
It was like, I think there was such, if there was a Hollywood, a Paris, or Route 66, or maybe one of the other escort maps, I think you'd probably see dive from us. I think we feel pretty confident on both comps. Like last stage, maybe we felt like our only brawl comp that we were really, really good at was the Malga one, and then obviously the establishment kind of like cut its knees out before the tournament. So now we kind of learned a new style. We played a little bit of the Orisa. Hopefully Jake's watching at home, like really excited with the gameplay, and then yeah.
Do you feel generally that maybe more Winston comms will make their way over to the EMEA region, or will we just be sticking to the guns, rush and brawl it out?
It's funny because I actually think on like, if you look at across the whole region, I think we play way more Winston than we did in stage one. Like maybe we haven't, like there hasn't been enough games to fully say it, but like stage one, like very few teams maybe outside of like us and EXO were playing like dive, whereas I see a lot of like that second tier of teams, like the like 4th to 8th best team, they have a lot of like Winston maps. I also think stage 2 map pool is way more Winston favored than stage 1, but obviously we have a patch coming Tuesday, so like we have no idea how dive looks after that.
Well, we'll find out soon enough. Christopher, thank you so much for the chat. Best of luck in your next games. We can't wait to see and hear more from you and the squad.
Thank you. Search Uncoachable on YouTube.